Hey everybody, this is Leah Ray. A little more casual of a feel tonight, late night live here on YouTube. But I got to talk to you something really important. Now, unless you're Superman or you have some magic powers of some sort, we all have 24 hours in one single day. So you need to spend it on what matters most to you. And in order to do that, that means you have to learn how to say no, the magic word, no. And as an entrepreneur, this is super duper important. Hey, this is Leah Ray from toddandleahray.com. This video, we're going to go through some really important entrepreneurship theory, essentially, learning the power of no, why you need to learn why you need to do it and how to get better at it, because it's often easier said than done for a lot of people, ourselves included, but also the coaching clients and people that we've taught as well. It is a challenge to learn how to say no when that's appropriate and how to do so. Now, I actually recently started reading Dave Asprey's book, Game Changers, and it's phenomenal. So please know that this information, most of what I'm going to talk about tonight actually comes from this book that has just too many gold nuggets not to share what I'm reading as I'm going through it. So you should definitely go out and purchase it. It's a phenomenal book. But I'll be obviously mixing in my own experience and personal experience in just what we've seen with our coaching clients and stuff as well to really help you and hone this for online business entrepreneurs. That's really who we work with. So this will be a first video in a series about this awesome topic. So make sure that you subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications so you can get all of those videos. Now, in order to make sure, hey guys, welcome. In order to make sure that you are spending your time on what's most important to you, you need to be aware and honest about what is most important to you. You have to decide what matters most. And that is tricky. Oftentimes we get sucked into things in life that we think are important, the hustle and the grind of just stuff that if you look 20 years from now, it's not going to make a difference in your life. It's not. And if that's the case, you need to look at your day, how you're currently spending your time, and figure out, is this activity going to make a difference 20 years from now? Yes or no? That is a clue as to whether it's actually important. So if that means scrolling through Facebook, if that means spending hours on Instagram or Pinterest or whatever, is that going to improve your life 20 years from now? Probably not. Let's be real. Probably not. So be honest about that and let's get super crystal clear on what's important, because then you can prioritize, you learn what you have to say no to. Now, like I said, for most of us, saying no to people and opportunities or strategies or whatever's pulling at you to do more, it's much easier said than done. People just in business alone, not even considering the pulls and the asks and everything that come from family and life, just solely in the business realm of online business, there's shiny object syndrome, where people get excited about some new strategy they hear about and they want to jump over there and do this and do that and do this and do that, and new opportunities pop up and it's all exciting and people want to do it. You need to learn how to say no. You need to really stay focused in order to create a successful business. Now, in his book, he actually goes through some really, really cool information. So you might want to write this down if you think it's as cool as I do, because I think it's really interesting. But in 2010, researchers in Israel studied how judges made decisions to either approve or to deny people when they came up for parole. They studied more than 1,000 parole hearings over 10 months, and they found a very strong connection between the time of day that the hearing was done and the outcome of the hearing. If the hearing was held early in the day, the judge gave a favorable ruling for parole 65% of the time. Then the percentage steadily dropped throughout the day and jumped back briefly to 65% immediately after lunch, and then just crashed throughout the day. Now, this was consistent across all the different variables that come into play with parole hearings. So the type of crime, the criminal's education, his or her behavior in prison. What affected more than all of that stuff was the time of day that the parole hearing was being held, which is kind of crazy and sort of unfair for those people that get parole hearings in the afternoon. But what was happening is that the judges were using up their decision-making power, also known as their willpower. As the day wore on, they wore out of willpower. They wore out of the mental energy that it took to create, these different the types of rules and things that they have to do for these parolees, right? For them to be approved. Willpower it's like a muscle, and it will get fatigued after excessive use. So willpower, decision-making power, mental energy, it's essentially all the same thing. It's willpower. And so once your willpower gets fatigued, you start making bad decisions. Who here can attest to the fact, just personally, if you're trying to eat right, you're trying to make better food decisions, and you've done good all day long, and then it's the end of the night. You're fatigued, the kids wore you out, you've worked hard, your feet are aching, you finally get a moment to relax, and now it's like, oh shoot, I really want ice cream, or I really want something that's not on your diet or what you're trying to do on your meal plan. And you shouldn't do it, but you lose your willpower. Your willpower is gone because you've spent it throughout the rest of your day. You're wore down, and so that's when you make decisions. So late night snacking is a huge problem for a lot of people, and this has a big thing to do with it. Now, the concept of willpower as a muscle comes in part from our understanding of I'm going to try if I pronounce this right, anterior cingulated cortex, cingulated, cingulated. Cingulated, that's what it was. I looked it up earlier today, how to pronounce it. Cingulated cortex. So your anterior cingulated cortex, ACC is what we're going to call it, because that's way easier to pronounce. But your ACC, it is a small C-shaped part of your brain that's near your right temple. It's believed that your ACC controls your willpower. And you can sort of think of your ACC as a mental energy bank account, if you will. You start each day with a full account, but every time that you make a decision or you expend some level of mental energy, the account balance goes down. The bigger the decision or stressor, mental energy stressor, the bigger the withdrawal that it takes from your energy. Now, when your bank account gets depleted from trivial decisions, you give in to bad decisions, which can be called decision fatigue. Now, the more decisions that you make, the worse your judgment becomes. The bank account theory, really, it helps us to understand the results of that Israeli study, right? So those judges started their day with a full bank account, and as the day wore on, it went less and less, right? Until they just ran out. Like, it didn't matter how good the person in jail was, they were just going to say no because they were just fatigued. They didn't have the mental energy. Their bank account was empty. So they're depleting those ACC energy throughout the day, and it does get bumped up during lunch because they're getting a new resource of energy that they can draw from. So they saw a bump after lunch, and then it kept going down for the rest of the day. So how does that, very interesting, I don't know about you, but I find that really cool to learn about. And that especially if I ever know someone who's up for a parole hearing, I'll make sure that they get scheduled in the morning. But how does that apply to you as an entrepreneur? You might think it's interesting, but what does that mean to you? Well, here's the thing. It really comes down to, let's say, 3 different things, okay? 3 different things. Number 1 is that you need to conserve your ACC bank account for meaningful decisions. Save your willpower, save your decision-making energy for meaningful decisions, for what actually impacts your life and your business. Don't deplete it with frivolous things like scrolling through Facebook and making decisions. If you're supposed to like things or comment on things or share posts, do all that stuff. Like, how many people check Facebook or your email or the news first thing in the morning? That immediately takes away from that ACC bank account, your mental energy bank account. So don't do it. Do not get on social media in the morning. It's a bad idea. Number 2 then is to schedule any content creation time or anything that requires important decisions for earlier in the day. And make sure to do anything that requires, creative thinking and good problem-solving skills. Do that when your ACC, your mental energy bank account, is full, and you'll be more successful. You create better content. You'll make better decisions. You'll have better problem solving skills. Isn't this interesting? I don't know. I think this is really cool. And number 3, since your willpower is like a muscle, you have the power to strengthen it. You can actually build up your willpower. So how do you do that? With little acts of, as a Catholic, I'd say self-mortification, okay? Denying yourself something that you want. So denying yourself that dessert actually builds up your willpower. Forcing yourself to jump out of bed first thing in the morning, the moment your alarm goes off, that builds up your willpower. You're making yourself do something you don't want to do. And the more that you do that, the stronger that muscle is going to become. It's like lifting weights with your ACC bank account muscle to build up that power, build up that strength. So it could be as simple as holding your breath until it feels like you want to breathe. And then, count to 5, count to 10, holding it a bit longer. Making yourself, yes, Mark, exactly. It gets stronger. Michelle, I hear you. Mornings suck I could work all night and be super productive, but I got kids that get up super early, so I can't do that. So I get it. But doing something that you don't enjoy, making yourself do it, denying yourself some sort of pleasure or something that you want will build that power, build that muscle. And doing extra things like holding your breath till it hurts, and then going a little bit longer, jumping out of bed first thing in the morning, whatever it is you don't want to do, making yourself do those little activities, those will build up that muscle so you get better at it. So you build up that reserve. You're stretching that bank account, making it bigger, essentially. So now a caveat, if you're going to do these sorts of exercises and things to build up your willpower, it still takes energy to do that stuff. So don't forget that. I would make sure that you're not doing those sorts of things before you've got something that really requires a lot of that ACC mental energy, that willpower. So if you've got a big meeting, if you've got something really important you need to do, wait to do the exercises and things until afterwards so that you're not depleting those reserves when you need them the most. So if you found this interesting, let me know, because I find this very interesting. 321 also hates mornings. I think it's nighttime. So of course we got a bunch of night owls on here. We'll hear in the morning from all the morning people that think we're crazy, but that's okay. So guys, if you are working to build your home business, make sure to subscribe. We are here. We have this channel specifically created to help you create the time freedom that you and your family deserve. That's why we are here. That's why I'm doing this video right now. So if that's you're trying to create time freedom for you and your family, then subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so that we can provide you with the resources, the information that you need to do that. Now, we do have some great training to help you pull all of this together to really create a solid business, A to Z, everything that you need to create an amazing online business. Click the link, top link in the description to get access to that. Yes, down in the description will be the book to Dave's book, Dave Asprey's book, Game Changers. And yes, it'll be an affiliate link. You know the drill. But it is awesome. We're going to get you some more gold nuggets to help you just understand the entrepreneurial theory and how to really get your head in the game. Because I'll tell you, I have taught thousands of people the specific strategies of what they need to do to be successful in their business. How many of those people go on and implement what I've told them and do what they need to do to create that kind of business? A very small percentage. Why? Their head's not in the right place. So understanding this entrepreneurship, understanding these sorts of things is really much more important than the strategies, because there's tons of strategies and they all work in some way. But unless you have your head right, unless you have, your head in the game, you're not going to do any of the strategies anyway. So you're not going to be able to do anything with it. So pay attention. This stuff is the important stuff. Yes, build a life by design is definitely an implementer. I can attest to that. All right, guys, you have a great evening. Grab the link to the training, top link in the description. I will put an end card on this if you're watching the replay. So you can, if you're sticking on YouTube, you can watch another video next. I'll pull that up for you. Have a great evening. God bless and take care. Bye-bye.